All right. Well, like I said, I'll just go through a very quick presentation, and then I'll do a live demo, and then whatever questions you guys have, just let me know. Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. Let's see if my computer will work now, because it's typically not what happens. So anyway, obviously I am preaching to the choir here. You guys are the experts when it comes to vision screening, but I just wanted to talk about EyeSpy and also subjective and objective screenings, because EyeSpy, as you'll see, is really a data-centric platform. In other words, the data that we collect is not relegated to just EyeSpy, but we can also collect vision screening data from objective vision screenings as well. And so what we're trying to do with EyeSpy is really combine the best of both worlds, as hopefully I'll be able to show you in just a second. But when it comes to school-age children, obviously APOS and the AAP have recommended that you engage children in the subjective screening, as you guys know. So the problem with the traditional vision screening, obviously, is all of the issues around memorization and peaking, and also the high degree of human subjectivity that's involved. But from a data perspective, the problem is that there's no automated method for collecting the data. EyeSpy is obviously a little bit different because it is a computer-based vision screening technology. It automatically collects and stores all of that data in a repository for you. But in addition, we can manually enter traditional vision screening results into EyeSpy 2020 as well, so it can serve as a repository for traditional vision screenings. EyeSpy 2020 takes probably about 2 or 3 minutes to enter the child's data. Now that can be greatly expedited when schools or vision screening organizations pre-enter student rosters, which is very easy to do with EyeSpy. So rather than having to type in the child's information, you would just select the child from a list. To actually vision screen the child takes 2 or 3 minutes. So on the high side of things, being conservative, you can do about 10 screenings per hour per laptop. And with EyeSpy 2020, there's no limitation on the number of laptops on which you can install it. So we have schools that, some of the schools are actually using 10 or more laptops. But if you just use 6 laptops, you can do about 300 screenings a day. And that means that the average school can do mass vision screening of every one of their students in less than 2 days. And one of the other advantages to EyeSpy is that it's always available to the school. So if students were not available on the days that the mass vision screenings were conducted, you could do individual vision screenings whenever you wanted to. The volunteer engagement with EyeSpy is very easy because you don't require certified vision screeners. It literally takes about 5 minutes to show someone how to use EyeSpy, and there are volunteers. We've had volunteers as young as 13 and as old as 83, and so that's really a testament to the ease of use of EyeSpy. And volunteers can operate 3 or 4 laptops simultaneously, so you don't need a huge number of volunteers with regards to conducting vision screenings with EyeSpy.
Can it run on any kind of laptop, or do you have to have a special type of laptop?
That's a good question. So just a Windows PC, so either Windows XP, Windows 7, Windows 8, anything XP or newer will be fine.
Will it run on a Mac?
Well, I'm running it on a Mac through Parallels, so so it's not going to run natively on a Mac operating system.
Okay.
We may do that. Ironically, I do all of my development work on a Mac, and at one point it was a Mac compatible product, and we may go back and revisit that. So perhaps in the future, I would like it to run on a Mac. But there's a lot of management that goes. It's kind of hard to explain. Because we've become so data-centric, there have been reasons why we very quickly relegated ourselves to the PC side. And I can get into the technical aspects if anyone's really interested. But that's not to say that it won't be available on a Mac at some point in the future. With regards to preschool children, obviously objective vision screenings are desirable. You know, it's just a question of how young can a child be effectively vision screened with EyeSpy. And we have vision screened children as young as 3, but clearly the norm is using objective technology. So what EyeSpy has done is integrated several objective vision screening technologies into EyeSpy with regards to the collection of data. So for example, with the Welsh Allen, we just use an off-the-shelf infrared reader that connects to the computer via USB connection. And when you do a vision screening, you press the print button on the Welsh Allen, and the data goes right into EyeSpy, and the report pops up. And these YouTube links that I'm showing in the presentation are also being emailed to you, so you can view the video of the Sure site actually being integrated into EyeSpy, but it happens instantaneously. There are some advantages when we integrate the Welsh Allen, for example, because we receive the raw data and can actually apply our own stratified criteria to those results and actually increase the sensitivity and specificity of the product substantially, which is something that you can't do natively with the Sure site. You would have to send it back to Welsh Allen and ask them to reprogram the hardware inside. But we can apply our own criteria or independently validated criteria and dramatically make the Sure site a better product. We also integrate with the PediaVision Spot device. I'm sure you guys are familiar. It's got a wireless network, and so that just communicates to EyeSpy over the wireless network. It does mean that you would need a router in the same location, proximity as EyeSpy, but basically they're connected to the same network, and that data goes right into EyeSpy as well. And of course, from EyeSpy, the point is that all of this data doesn't just stay within EyeSpy, it goes to the centralized repository. We also work with the Plus Optics. The SO8 and the SO9 both can be directly connected to the laptop. The other option is to transfer the data off of the SO8 or SO9 to a thumb drive and import it directly into EyeSpy through a utility provided in EyeSpy. And actually, that's just relegated to the SO9. We could do the same thing with the SO8, but the platform with the SO8 is such that it has a PC. I'm sure you guys are familiar, but the Plus Optics SO8 actually runs on a PC. And much of this is irrelevant because they don't make the SO8 or 9 anymore anyway. With the S12, the first generation of their product, it requires transferring the data onto a thumb drive, just like you would with the SO9, and then bringing that into EyeSpy. You just plug the thumb drive into your PC running EyeSpy, and there's a utility to bring that data right in. The next generation of the S12 will have a wireless network very similar to the Spot, and that's ultimately the nicest integration, if you will, because there's really nothing you have to do other than tell EyeSpy that you're using a Spot or an S12, and it will bring the data into the system for you. And again, the whole point is that ultimately that data gets pushed to the repository, and there's a bunch of advantages. The development of the repository was really in response to schools that said that they did not want the responsibility of safeguarding and backing up all of the data. There was a lot of liability associated with that for schools, so we alleviate them of that responsibility, yet we give them 24-hour access to any of their data in perpetuity. So the data, you know, they're freed up of all the responsibility, but they get all the benefits of having the, you know, access to the data, which I'll show you. So only an individual school has access to their data. That's one of the great advantages. And they have the ability at any point in time, which I'm going to show you in the live demo, they can pull up an individual screening report at any point in time. And it doesn't matter what computer the vision screening was conducted on. So the whole idea is that you could have laptops out in the field doing vision screenings. You do not need to be connected to the internet when you're doing the vision screenings. When you do connect to the internet, the data is encrypted and transmitted up to the Hipaa compliant repository, and then from another computer, which could be in an office, a nurse's office, what have you, they have you would have access to the individual reports in real time. And those reports are in English and Spanish, which I'll show you. You also have customizable summary reports. And schools really like this because they can sort these reports very easily. You know, what is a list of the children that passed or didn't pass, sort it by grade or what have you. And again, these are available for life. So you can track an individual child throughout their developmental years as well. Of course, you can at any point in time dump all of the data into Microsoft Excel and manipulate and analyze the data however you need to. And at that point, it's no longer HIPAA compliant because we don't have control over the data. So if you lost that data, so to speak, it's still in the centralized repository, but that, the security breach of losing that Excel spreadsheet that's no longer within our control, obviously. And then, of course, you have the ability to export the data into student information systems, which is very nice for schools that are using these MRSs that are now becoming more and more prevalent. So
what's an MRS?
The medical record systems that schools are implementing electronic records for their students. Not all schools, but many schools are integrating or using programs like Synergy or CHIP. And obviously, I think in Minnesota, there's a statewide standardized program. I'm not sure what the name is, but
so what did you say, Synergy, and what's the other one?
In Arizona, the most popular, well, it was at one point, is something called CHIP.
CHIP?
Yeah, CHIP. But Synergy is made by a company called EduPoint. And here's a really important point, I guess, is that we can design the exporting into student information software systems for any system. So it does, we have the data, and so all we would have to do is know what format, for lack of a better term, the particular software system is looking to read, and then we can develop the software routine to export it into whatever system a school or a state would like. So there's no limit to the exporting capabilities that we would provide. And we're going to continue to develop more, as the demand requires, we will develop more and more exporting. Just to let you know, when you export into Microsoft Excel, from Excel you can pretty much import into any student information software system anyway. So it's just if there are specific requirements that the standardized export to Excel that we offer does not handle, then we would develop a customized solution. So what I'll do is I'll show you real quick. This is EyeSpy, and if I go into the reports, you'll see that with just a few clicks of a button, a school is able to pick up. These are all fake reports, by the way, but they're able to basically double-click at any point in time and look at this is the report as it was generated at the time of the vision screening. If this particular student's household is Spanish speaking, then I just press the S key and the report is printed in Spanish. And it's a true translation. It's not like a Google translation into Spanish. If the child has failed the vision screening, the report looks just a little bit different. because what happens here, and here's an example of where we're actually using the SPOT and EyeSpy 2020 together. So this is kind of a unique situation. This is something that we were developing for pediatric use, where you would conduct a vision screening with the SPOT, and in the event that the child passed the SPOT, this not in this particular example, but the protocol would be if they passed the SPOT, then they would play EyeSpy 2020 if they were old enough. But anyway, the real point of this report is this area over here where it says eye professional use only. And so the idea is that the school would give this to the parent guardian of the child. They would take this to the doctor. The doctor would just check off a couple boxes and provide this back to the school so that the school could ensure compliance with medical follow-up for children that were referred.
Is there any, do you have any plans to make that data, like, so if this, so once the school gets that data about the professional examination, to then put that into the repository as well?
It's a great question, and the beauty of our database is that we can architect it to a certain degree to be infinitely flexible. So in answer to your question, yes. What we would like to have happen is that this information is either entered by the doctor into a web-based a website where there's a unique identifier that the physician would type into the website. It would pull up this student, and then rather than have to check these boxes off, they would just put that information very quickly into the website, and then the school would be notified. We don't have that. I want to make sure I'm being perfectly clear. We do not currently do that. But that is what the long-term objective is to make sure that when the loop is closed, that we're collecting that data as well. And there's nothing that precludes our data collection system from doing that. It's just a question of time and resources. So we've architected the system for all of these future capabilities, but we're biting off one piece at a time, so to speak. So this list is very easily sortable. So if I just want to look at for Teacher Smith, all the kids that didn't pass, you can see how easy the interface is. If I just wanted to look at a particular proctor, I can filter based on whatever I want. Or if I'm not doing this filtering, if I wanted to just sort and print the entire list, I could do that as well. So I could, for example, I could sort on grade, or I could sort on a particular proctor if I was trying to evaluate how a particular proctor was performing, or whatever the case might be. So there's a lot of flexibility. These are just here for the convenience of the school so that they can filter things very quickly based on when their school year starts. So it automatically puts in the current date, and then you can say, I want to look at things from, these particular start dates, or you can just manually type in your own date range as well and pull data there. And again, all of the data is up in the cloud. So the only thing that's requisite to do this is to have a connection to the internet. But again, these vision screenings were conducted on computers that were, not the physical computer on which I'm pulling the reports. The reports are also customized to the extent that, for example, this is the report as it's sent home. Well, if I don't want to confuse the recipient of the report, I could just do pass-fail, and when I pull up the report, it's not going to give me numerical information. It's just going to say pass or fail. And if I didn't even want to do that, if I just wanted to give them a summary or an overall, then all of that data is hidden, and you would just be providing them an overall evaluation of their vision. So there's customization there. What language? You can print all the reports individually, or you can print a summary report, which I showed you in the presentation. So that's the reporting capability within EyeSpy. Now, outside of EyeSpy, let's see if I can figure out how to do this. Outside of EyeSpy, if you're you're given users are given access to a website in which they have to log into. So every user is given a unique ID and password, and when you log in, most users don't even see this screen. They just go straight to reports, and they're actually brought to this page. This page is very beneficial, particularly for formalized vision screening programs, like with vision screening organizations, where I want to be able to report to funders or whomever I want to report to. I want to be able to provide them some statistics. So, for example, if I'm looking for a summary of usage for a particular date range, again, this is the date that's selected by default, but we can select any date we want. So we'll go from August, and I press a button. Now, if someone goes to this website without going in through our portal, they do not have access to this. There's no way for them to get into this website without going through the portal that I mentioned earlier. But essentially what happens is all of these reports are available 24/7. The reason why this report is taking a long time to generate probably is because I'm trying to do a demo, but the reality is that the reason why this report's taking so long is because this is rolling up all of the hundreds of thousands of vision screenings that are in our database, rather than just looking at a particular user, like, for a particular school or vision screening organization.
So when you're accessing data, you can use any computer, right? It doesn't have to be a PC. It's just when you're actually entering data that you have to have a PC with Windows.
That's right. Let me close this down. I'm not sure what's going on there, so I'm going to restart that because that might be causing a problem. Yes, EyeSpy is what's required to be run on a PC. As far as do it this way. As far as this web-based reporting, this like I'm on the Mac right now. I'm on the Mac side. So yes, the website can be run on a Mac. I'm not sure why these reports are taking. I have been having some performance issues with the database, and I've been working with the hosting company on that. That took about the right amount of time. So 2 to 3 seconds, and this shows me the distribution of screenings as a function of age by state. As an example, given a particular date range, you can see we've got 48,000 vision screenings, most of them here in Arizona. Most children screened were 6 years old. The next group right in here, you can see that right on the screen. If I wanted to look at usage by, so that was an age report. Maybe the usage is giving me a problem. It shouldn't, but let's see. And the reporting is a lot faster. Like I said, when there is something wrong with my, oh no, okay. So this will show all of the schools that are using the program, how many vision screenings they conducted. So that's a helpful report for funders. That's the general idea there. And all of these reports, by the way, this is really just a sampling of the reports. It's not really the end-all be-all. These reports, I can create additional reports based on what users' needs are. So this is a distribution of results, how many children passed, how many children didn't understand the test, how many failed, etc. So that's the web-based reporting system, but this is all aggregate data. As you can see, there's no personally identifiable information. So if a vision screening organization were using this system, they would have access to the aggregate data, but only the school would have access to to this data, to the individual reports, unless the school wanted to provide the vision screening organization that access. And as far as Hipaa compliance is concerned, this particular area of the screen, first of all, every school can have its own password, and then this area of the screen can also be locked. So for example, if I've got computers set up and I'm turning these computers over to proctors to actually conduct vision screenings, I don't want to give them access to this area, which includes reporting and the ability to set a school password and access to the bank and importing data, all of those things. Those are more administrative functions that would be relegated to, you know, those who have the authority to access this area. So there would be no access to reports unless it was granted by the school, unless they knew the password. So at this point, I want to see or answer any questions. I know it's like maybe a drink out of a fire hose, but I wanted to at least give you guys an overview and then answer any specific questions that you might have.
So it looks to me like right now this program is set up to work primarily in schools, which I think is important. But ultimately, so I'm a member of the National Expert Panel, which is now turning into the National Advisory Committee. And ultimately, there will be performance measures that states will be held accountable for regarding percentages of children screened, and then if they are screened, percentage that actually have an appointment with an eye doctor, and then if they do have an appointment with an eye doctor, percentage that get, you know, get the glasses or whatever. Right. And so it's going to be important to be able to report to other agencies besides schools. So things like, I mean, I'm not sure who's going to bear the burden of collecting that information, but let's say it's the health department, you know, then this information would have to get to the health department, and then would also have to be transferred back and forth to schools, possibly to the child's personal health record, possibly, you know, I don't know, to the pediatrician. Yeah. So have you guys? I know you said you had sort of these ideas in your overall architecture, but have you guys actually implemented in any state, you know, reporting to the health department or getting feedback from eye doctors or any of that kind of stuff?
No, we have not implemented any of that formally. Again, architecturally speaking, what we've done is we've architected this to facilitate that communication. So, for example, children are identified or are assigned a very unique number, which allows for the identification of children uniquely in the system. Doesn't have to necessarily be anything that's happening at the state level, but internally, that's an important piece of the architecture for us to have doctors identify which child they are referencing system, as opposed to just saying John Smith with this date of birth, because we want to make sure that there's no confusion, if you will, of data. As far as the protocols in which the data is collected and then either exported or reported to various agencies, that's all relatively easy to do. I don't want to understate the value of it, but once you're collecting the data, that's the hard part. Once you've got the data, then it's just a question of sitting down with customer, for lack of a better term, and saying, okay, what reports do you need? What information do you need?
How will you guys? Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's okay. Collecting the data from the doctor is going to be the biggest challenge.
Yeah. How will this all be paid for? Like who? I mean, how, you know?
Well, that's clearly elephant in the room. So, no, and it's a fair question because it's intellectually honest. You know, obviously, what I would love to be in a situation where this could just be given away, and that's just not reality. So schools pay. There is a cost associated with acquiring EyeSpy 2020, and there's an annual licensing fee. They will always have access to their data, but if they want all of the updates to EyeSpy and they want to continue to be able to do vision screenings, and there's a usage fee annually.
Like what realm are we talking about? for that?
Well, so the cost of the program for the first year, keep in mind that they can install this on as many computers as they want. So the cost of the software for unlimited installations and use is $3,800 for the first year, and it's $800 a year thereafter.
Okay.
But we've addressed one particular concern of ours, and that is that our goal from the beginning was that schools would be able to acquire EyeSpy 2020 for virtually no cost. And so what we've developed is a system by which they can go out and fundraise for, I'll show you, they can fundraise for the program, and this isn't how I want the report to look. Okay. So this area right here, this vision screening was provided thanks to the generous support of. This area here is reserved for recognition of sponsorship. And so we want to offer businesses an opportunity to do very targeted, I hate to call it marketing, but that's the reality. There has to be an ROI. There has to be a benefit to them beyond the goodwill that they're established in the community. They can put coupons on the report. They can do, you know, I shouldn't say whatever they want, but they can definitely try and drive traffic to their place of business if they so desire. I think that a natural fit for this type of advertising, if you will be realtors, dentists, insurance agents, local businesses that may have a national presence but definitely thrive and depend on having a good relationship with their local community. And a dentist, you know, as opposed to an eye care professional, is not going to
have a conflict of interest.
Right, no impropriety. So that is something that schools appreciate, because if the cost of the program, first of all, it drops precipitously after the first year, but nothing that precludes them from going out and raising $5,000. You know, the cost of the program is what the cost of the program is. So if they end up with excess funds, that is not a problem. In fact, we would love to see that happen. We would love to see schools being financially incentivized to actually vision screen their children. Our goal is to protect the vision of children. So we want to get this into the hands of schools, because we know that the vision screening, you know, the EyeSpy vision screening system, we believe very strongly in. And so, you know, we've addressed the issue of ease of use and volunteer recruitment, and of course accuracy and reliability. We've addressed the issue of notification to the parents. And, you know, there's no question we want to be closing the loops with the doctors and architecting that and figuring that all out. And that's something that I'd love for all of you to be involved in. But there's kind of a piecemeal approach to this. We got to do one thing at a time and figure out where, you know, where the greatest opportunities are as far as helping us proliferate this. And so we're focusing quite a bit of time and energy on what I was describing, which is that fundraising concept being integrated into EyeSpy 2020. Not all schools use it, but the schools that do, you know, appreciate the fact that they're getting the program at no cost.
What if something were to happen? Just, you know, if something were to happen and your company were to cease to exist, would you be able to provide like a batch of the data to the school so that they would have it in a paper format or something? You know,
yes, you're talking about the data side of it. In other words, if
yeah.
the data warehousing, right? So the way that the data warehousing works, so the short answer is yes. The short answer is that at any point in time, for example, we've got some schools that use Macintosh computers. And so the way that they do their vision screenings is they actually borrow PCs and conduct all of their vision screenings, and then they contact me subsequently and they say, Rich, we need all of our reports, because they're not looking for the aggregate data reports that I showed you on the web. They're looking for the individual screening reports.
So you cannot access the individual screening reports through the web?
Not yet. That we are working on that, the individual screening reports like I have up on the screen. I am working on that, but the demand for that right now is very low. Now, you guys, listen, all of a sudden the demand may come to the top of the list depending on what your needs are. But right now, the vast majority of our users have access to their reports 24/7 because they've got EyeSpy at their school or in their district.
So it's in the EyeSpy program on their local computer is where the individual reports reside.
Well, the individual
right?
reports, you're kind of. So this EyeSpy application that you're looking at is run and installed on the local PC, but the data is being pulled down from the cloud.
Okay.
So it's a combination of both. This application with the green background is not a website. It's a local application. Now, in order to pull this report up, it requires that you're running EyeSpy on your local computer with a connection to the internet. Eventually, this interface that I was showing earlier, which can be run on a Mac, in fact, I am on a Mac right now on this side, this will give you the ability to pull individual reports, and it will look similar to this, but I have not built that yet.
Okay.
But this is the start of it, which is really what at the, at the higher levels, as far as the individuals that are looking for aggregate data, the macroscopic results that are being achieved. This is what they're looking for.
Okay. Good. Okay. Well, I have a bunch of more technical questions that I would love to email to you. I don't think I want to take up Lori and Jenny's time with them, but I can send to you later because I have a friend who's in technology who reviewed the website and had a bunch of questions. So I'll send those to you separately.
Yeah, please do, because I love, obviously I love the technology. I mean, what fuels me honestly is what we're doing for the kids, but the development of the technology, and certainly if you guys have needs that are not being met elsewhere, there's no reason. We really are, from my perspective, we are all about data. We are a data-centric technology platform. It's all about the data. So very interested in what questions you have, and would be more than happy to answer them.
There's some technical and also some about just the business strategy, and the sustainability of the business and whatnot. But I can send those to you separately.
That's fine.
But I mean, you've done great work, Rich. I mean, it's really impressive what you've done, and you're completely heading in a great direction. And the big challenge is that I've met with some of the guys at the CDC who are in charge of the hearing program, and basically the big obstacles to overcome are going to be policy, policy things for states and whatnot. So, but can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I was just saying you're so right. I mean, I was talking to someone this morning about that very thing, about the policy side of the equation.
Yeah. So, and Prevent Blindness is in a very great position for that, because they've got the national presence, as well as they've got like 5, I think, states that are designated as sort of model states. So, in Georgia, where we are, we had a meeting today with a bunch of different stakeholders from the health departments, from the schools, and so I think that's kind of the avenue that you're going to want to go through.
Well, I can tell you that what we're interested in doing is collaborating and making sure that there's not duplication of efforts, and that we're all working, synergistically together. I honestly believe the quickest means to the end, and you know, what breaks my heart is that there's a lot of children every single day, and again, I know I'm preaching to the choir, but there's a lot of children and their families every single day in this country that are devastated because their amblyopia went undetected. And there's millions more that are needlessly suffering academically, psychosocially, and you know, they're misdiagnosed, they're mislabeled. I mean, it is heartbreaking. And the one thing that I don't want to do personally is I don't want to fight policy. I don't want to wait for the perfect solution. I just want to start doing it.
Right.
And I really do feel like we have an opportunity, not we, Vision Quest, I mean we collaboratively, everyone on this phone conference and our friends and colleagues, we have an opportunity to lead by example. And because every single day, this is how I wake up, and I may be psychotic, but every day I wake up, and because not every child is receiving an accurate vision screening annually, the only thing that I can think about are the kids that are needlessly suffering. And it's completely, truly needless. We have the technology and we have the answers. So there's not a need for us to sit around any longer and talk about, well, should it do this? Should it do that? What about this? What about that? Look, we need to start vision screening every child now. And what we will do, be rest assured, is not, again, I'm not talking about we Vision Quest, I'm talking about we collectively as a vision screening community will adapt and evolve to meet the needs of either policy requirements or individual states' needs or whatever the case may be. There's nothing, the hard part is coming up with a technology that can be reliably and easily on a large scale. All of that other stuff is easy. Let's just go out and start identifying the kids that need our help, and we will figure out the ways and the mechanisms to close the loops. We can do that. It's just every journey starts with a single step, and you know, it's taken a long time to get to this point, but I feel, you can tell I'm almost impassioned to a fault, that I feel so strongly that what we need to do is move forward with the vision screenings themselves. And as far as what we do with the data, I mean, we've made changes to the database throughout the lifetime of EyeSpy. There's nothing set in stone, absolutely nothing. So if we need to collect, when we started EyeSpy, developing EyeSpy, the PediaVision spot wasn't even a concept on a napkin. PediaVision was the distributor for Plus Optics.
Yeah.
So now we have sections of our database that are completely devoted around PediaVision. And if another device or another technology comes out, we can accommodate it. All the feedback is from doctor is more data. There's nothing magical about this at all. It's just more data. Okay, so we need a web portal for them to enter in their data. Fine.
Right.
Or we need a web portal to enter in traditional vision screening data. Fine. Whatever we want to do as a community, we can do. So I want to, you know, I absolutely, that's why I'm so excited about your questions, because I'm sure they're going to be thought-provoking, and they're going to help us move the product forward to meet your needs so that you can go out and do what you want to do, because I know you're on the same page as far as protecting kids' vision. That's what this is all about.
All right. Well, good. So we'll definitely, you know, I'll send those questions to you, and we'll be back in touch with each other soon.
Yeah, everyone on the phone is more than welcome to contact me either via email or you know, you can call me, whatever. I mean, I'm really more than happy to chat with anyone at any time. So yeah, please send me your questions and your thoughts and what your wish list is and how we can make this better and serve you guys. I mean, that's what this is about.
So Lori, I'm sorry I kind of monopolized the conversation, but do you or Jenny have any comments or questions that you wanted to ask?
I don't think we have any questions now. This has been very helpful. Thank you, Rick.
Oh, you're very welcome. It was my pleasure. It was my pleasure. As you can tell, I like to talk, so I apologize for taking up 50 minutes of your time, but it really is a pleasure, and I feel privileged to be able to chat with you guys because you guys are out there on the front lines really trying to change the world and to impact lives, and so if we can be a part of that, then I would like to.
Okay, well, thanks again. It was nice chatting with you.
It was great chatting with you, and I look forward to the questions, and like I said, you guys just call me anytime, okay?
Okay, thanks, Rich.
Okay, thanks.
Right.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
So much. Bye.